Welcome to the Muscle Building Mastery podcast, where guys that want to build muscle come to learn how to do it properly. We understand that there's more to building muscle than mindlessly throwing weights around and chugging mass gainer shakes. We're not interested in quick fixes or anabolic assistance. We're interested in mastering the art, science and skill set required to stack on real muscle and strength. My name's Andy Clements, and for the last 12 years I've devoted my life to figuring out how guys like us who don't have amazing genetics, don't have 5 hours a day to spend in the gym, and don't want to take steroids as a shortcut can build insane amounts of muscle and strength in weeks and months, not years and decades. This podcast is the result of all the lessons I've learned along the way, and it will give you the blueprint to building more muscle in less time. To get you started, head to www.musclebuildingmastery.net to download your free 6-week workout plan.
Boom, what's going on, you guys? This is Andy Clements here. Welcome to another episode of the Muscle Building Mastery podcast. I'm super excited to have you guys here with me because we've got a really cool episode for you today. I'm just sat here as I record this, sat at the side of the road waiting for a mate of mine to come out because we're going to go for a little walk, but I've got 10 minutes before he comes out because he always takes forever. So I'm gonna cut a quick podcast episode, but I don't have anything written down for this. I don't have any script or anything like that. So I'm just kind of freestyling it, but I've got the concept for what I want to talk about this episode quite clear in my head, and it's a really cool concept. It's not something a lot of people talk about. I've not seen many people ever talk about this in the fitness industry, let alone for muscle building, right? But I think it's a really important thing, and it's something I've been using for a couple of years now, and it's completely changed the game for me in terms of them top sets, them heavy sets that I spoke about on the last episode, where you just push yourself so ridiculously hard, and you're pushing your weight up, you're pushing your strength up every single time. If you implement what I'm going to talk about today, you will have such an easier time with those top sets, and that feeling you get when you've got to beat your logbook numbers every time and you're not sure if you're going to get it or not. Implement this and your results will skyrocket. Now, anyway, I'm going to tell you a bit of the backstory about this. What I'm going to talk about today is called mental rehearsal, right? So physical rehearsal would be a warm-up set, right? If you're doing a dumbbell press, for example, and your top set's going to be 40 kilos or whatever it's going to be, then a physical rehearsal of that might be a warm-up set of a few reps of a dumbbell press with 20 kilos. Does that make sense? So that's a fairly straightforward thing, a physical rehearsal set. We all do them. Nobody, or very few people, dive in cold to the top set, right? They just walk into the gym and deadlift 300 kilos. Nobody does that. Everybody does a warm-up set and works their way up to prime the nervous system, right? But mental rehearsal is something that not a lot of people either know about or take seriously. So if you're kind of alarm bells ringing in your head right now thinking, oh, this is BS, just bear with me, because I promise you, I thought the same thing. But when I started implementing it, when I started looking at the research, when I started trialing it myself, this changed the game for me. Honestly, man, this changed the game for me. So here's the thing. I mentioned on the podcast before, I've been listening to a lot lately of a guy called Dr Joe Dispenza, okay? And Dr Joe Dispenza, I don't really know how to explain him best, but if you want anything in your life, health, finance, financial freedom, or muscular success, or anything in your life, I recommend that you check out Dr Joe Dispenza's work. He's awesome, right? But he talks a lot about these two particular studies to do with mental rehearsal. And the first one was they did a study on a group of piano players, right? So they took two groups of people. The first group practiced physical rehearsal of playing the piano. So they learned a certain amount of chords or a piece of music or something like that, right? And the second group, across the same amount of time, under the same conditions, practiced mental rehearsal. So they never actually touched the piano. They never actually played the piano. They just mentally rehearsed doing it in their mind. They just mentally practiced what it would be like to touch the keys in that certain order, and they put the same amount of time in as the people doing physical rehearsal. Now, I can't remember the exact results of the study, but it was either the same or a very close amount of progress made by the people who practiced mentally to the people that practiced physically. So what that tells you is that these people that practiced mentally learnt the piano without even playing it. How ridiculous is that? Like that's like, that was mind-blowing to me. Now I know what you're thinking right now. This is a muscle building show. Why are you talking about piano players? Nobody cares. Right now I understand that. So let me give you another example. And Dr. Joe talks about this as well in his work. He talks about another study that was done on mental rehearsal, right? And this time they took a group of men, I think it was aged 20 to 35-year-old men, right? And they gave them a task to do I don't know if it was every day or every 2 days, or it was a certain amount of time intervals. And essentially their task was to, without moving, without flexing, without using any equipment, they just literally sat there doing absolutely nothing physically. Their task was to mentally flex their bicep. I think it was their left bicep or the right. It was one of the biceps. Mentally flex one of their biceps on their upper arm as hard as they could without physically doing it. So they're not physically moving, right? They're just in their mind. They're squeezing their bicep, and they're combining that with like an elevated emotion of strength or power or whatever, right? And the result of that was, again, I can't remember the exact statistics. You have to look at Dr. Joe's work or look the study up for yourself and get the exact statistics. But I think it was about a 22 or 21% increase in muscle strength of the biceps. Like, what? You increase the strength of your biceps by 22% just by thinking about it and just by bringing up an elevated emotion. So that was absolutely mind-blowing to me, because they didn't even flex. Like they didn't do any bicep curls. They didn't do any muscular flexion. They didn't squeeze. They just thought about it. They just focused on it, thought about it, and combined it with an emotion of strength or power or empowerment, whatever the emotion that they were told to bring up was, right? And that resulted in a 22% increase in strength. Wow. So now, knowing what we know about strength, right? Strength is a massive part of growth. So if we can lift more weight, we are able to put more force production through our muscle. Yes or no? Yes, of course, right? So the exact same form on a let's say a bicep curl. You use the exact same form, perfect form, 100% form at 10 kg, or perfect form, 100% form at 20 kg. Which one's going to build more muscle? The 20 kg, right? Because you got 10 kg more force going through your muscle. Now, I'm not saying you have to lift ridiculously heavy weights to build muscle, but I think you have to lift the most weight you can with perfect form. That's my attitude, really. So you don't want to be lifting light for the sake of lifting light. You want to try and lift heavy but maintain perfect form, right? Now, if you practice mental rehearsal before them top sets, and you're aware that the peer-reviewed studies, this is not BS like pseudoscience, this is peer-reviewed studies that are published in journals, have been done that show that by mental rehearsal and thought alone, you can increase the strength of a certain muscle or a certain body part on your body. Wouldn't it make sense to do a little bit of that before your top sets, before them sets where you're kind of like unsure whether you're going to be able to hit it or not, when you're 6 weeks deep into your training plan and you've been hitting more and more weight every single week on your squats, and you've got to like 140 on squats or 160 on squats, and you're looking at the bar and you're kind of unsure whether you're actually going to be able to get down in the hole and get back up with it again. Wouldn't it make sense to spend 30 to 60 seconds visualizing and calling up an elevated emotion of strength or of power, that you're going to, like this weight's going to be easy, you're going to crush this set, rather than just going into it blind? Wouldn't that make sense from a scientific standpoint? So here's how I do it, and here's what I've been experimenting with. Now, I've kind of messed about with this a little bit just through my own trial and error before I even discovered Dr. Joe's work, right? But when I discovered Dr. Joe's work a few months ago, I was like, wow, I've got to take this stuff seriously. I've got to really take this stuff seriously. So what I do is I have a preset ritual, right? And this is for a couple of reasons. Number one, the preset ritual is to harness the power of my sympathetic nervous system. So don't be confused by that word. Sympathetic nervous system just means like the fight or flight response. So the same energy that we evolved with to be able to chase after prey or run away from predators. So, the primal evolutionary power of our nervous system that channels all the energy in our body and and uses it for physical activity, that's what I do. I call up that power. Now, I do that through breath, so I'm going to quicken my breath. I'm going to call up aggression, call up power, call up them elevated emotions that are going to really help me get into that high stress, like a good type of stress, not a bad type of stress, but it's a good type of stress, but call myself up into that high stress state for that that preset and that set window. But then what I'm also going to do is I'm going to visualize, and I'm going to actually close my eyes, and I'm going to experience what it's going to be like to crush this set and what it's going to be like to feel this way if it was easy. Okay, so I'm not going to visualize what it's going to be like to feel if it was hard, because I don't want to rehearse having a hard set. I want to rehearse having an easy set. I want to rehearse getting a weight I've never touched before on a bench press or a deadlift or a squat or even a bicep curl, anything, right? Anything where I've not touched a new weight and I'm trying to push my strength up. I'm going to rehearse what it's going to feel like if that was easy, okay? So this is what I do. I close my eyes. Maybe let's take the example of a squat again. So maybe, you go in, you put 160 kilos on the bar, and you've never done 160 kilos on a squat before, and it's kind of scary. You're kind of like, a little bit, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. Maybe I should put the safety bars on. Maybe I should get a spot, blah, 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 all these thoughts. Instead of going through that silly cycle, what if you closed your eyes, and you just gripped onto the bar, you just close your eyes. You don't have to make a big song and dance about it. You don't have to, let anybody else know you're doing it. You just close your eyes and you spend 60 seconds in your mind making your inner world more real than your outer world, and in your mind rehearsing absolutely crushing that set, rehearsing how easy it's going to feel on your back, and rehearsing in your mind how much power you're going to have through your legs as you drive that bar up again and again and again. And it's not just thought, it's emotion, right? So you're combining the thought of, and this is a lot to do with Dr. Joe's work. If you go and look at Dr. Joe Dispenza, he talks a lot about combining thought with emotion to produce experience ahead of what the event you're trying to experience, right? So you combine the thought of, I'm going to crush this set, I'm going to get however many reps you're going for, 8 reps, 10 reps, whatever, and it's going to feel easy, with the emotion of power and strength and, whatever else you want to call up, and aggression in that moment. Then when you open your eyes and you're in that elevated state, don't just sit around and wait, like get into the set there and then. Like, get yourself into that elevated state and then get under that bar and crush the set. And in my experience, 9 times out of 10, I can have a way better set. I can connect better with my muscles. I can lift more weight. My nervous system's fired up. Everything just seems to run smoother when I do a little bit of mental rehearsal in a set, as opposed to when I just go into a set cold and don't think about it, right? Now, obviously, you don't need to do that before every single set. Like, if you're doing a set of calf raises, maybe you don't need that much thought into it. Maybe just go and do the set. But if you're doing a set, like a top set of heavy squats or deadlift or rows or bench presses or military presses, or something you've not done before, and you know that you need to summon every bit of energy in your body to get there, then that's my advice, is do a bit of mental rehearsal, because it's changed the game for me. So I hope you enjoyed that, guys. Make sure, I don't have any affiliation with Dr. Joe Dispenza, by the way. I just think he's an awesome guy. Like, I've never met him. I want to go to one of his events. I probably will go to one of his events when all the COVID stuff's over. But I've been on his website, spent tons of money on his meditations and his courses and stuff, and I just think he's awesome. Like, if you want anything in your life, go check out Dr. Joe Dispenza. He's awesome. But if you want a 6-week workout program, go check out my 6-week workout program, 6 weeks to mass, which will help get you started in the gym. That's at www.musclebuildingmastery.net, and you can download that for free right now. So hope you enjoyed that, guys. I'm gonna make sure my mate's not passed out on the toilet or something, and we're going to go for a walk. So I hope you enjoy that, guys. I'll see you next time on the Muscle Building Mastery podcast. Bye.
If you're ready to stop wasting time in the gym and start mastering the skill of muscle building, go check out www.musclebuildingmastery.net to download your free 6-week muscle building workout plan. I have specifically formulated this workout plan to take you through the 3 stages of mastering your body, layering on a more advanced training methodology each week as you progress. That means that regardless of where you are with your training right now, this plan will push you forward and help you stack on more muscle and strength in just 6 weeks. So head to www.musclebuildingmastery.net now to grab your free 6-week workout plan.